Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It's day 29 of RPG A Day 2021. And the provocative prompt for today, the singular prompt, is the word system. System matters, doesn't it? And I looked online, looked at the dictionary, found the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and found a whole bunch of definitions for the word system, but there's three that really stood out. A regularly interacting or interdependent group of items forming a unified whole, an organized or established procedure, and a harmonious arrangement or pattern. And those three really kind of apply to the topic of system when it comes to RPGs. At least they're the most relevant. And it's no secret that I have become a real enthusiast of RPG systems. And I'm a premise guy. Like, the premise or a pitch will grab me first for a game, but system, right behind that. And, when I hear about a game that has novel or different mechanics, when I heard about Broken Compass and the fact that they're rolling a bunch of dice and looking for pairs, I was like, ooh, I have to try that. And sometimes just information about the mechanics of a game that's new to me is enough to make me say, oh, I have to try that. Or if I hear more about the system in general, I become intrigued. And RPG mechanics are fascinating to me. They've always been fascinating to me, even back in the day when when I was playing early Dungeons and Dragons. I was interested in the various mechanics used in that game and why they used one and not the other. And later on, as I experienced different games, I did tinkering and whatnot. It's it became really obvious to me just how much the math of whatever mechanics you're using, whether it's a dice mechanic or something else, really affect the genre, the tone, the feel of a game. And you know, matching a mechanic, a dice mechanic or some other mechanic to the intended genre, tone, feel, whatever it happens to be of a game, it's as much science as it is art. And, so much of the feel of any game depends on the actual mechanics. But a system for an RPG isn't just mechanics, is it? My friends and I have talked an awful lot about the idea that the procedures of an RPG are just as much of a system as the mechanics are, maybe even more. And the procedures, well, they let us know how to play the game. This could be as simple as letting you know, like, this is when you roll and this is when you don't roll. This maybe you just compare the attribute or skill of somebody to a task and just go from there. All the way up to being this really complex, detailed sequence of contingencies and procedures and protocols, and what have you. This you do this then and do that then, and the whole nine yards. And it's obvious that the procedures of an RPG have a dramatic effect on how it feels as well. And when an RPG system is truly harmonious, the procedures and the mechanics, it's a harmonious arrangement or pattern. It fits perfectly with the intended genre and tone. It's a work of art. It's a thing of beauty. A lot of times we have to play various games to discover the experience they produce and play them as written. And sometimes we get surprised at the feel that a game produces because it might be different than the one that we thought it was going to. But it's really cool to play with that spirit of discovery. Let's find out what this game really feels like by playing it, the way it's laid out for us, playing the system. And even if a game has a system that's less than harmonious, and there's plenty of them out there, it's interesting to examine them to see where things went awry. Like, where did this fall flat? Or what kind of, if it says it's supposed to do this on the cover of the box or the book, and it's really doing that, where's the disconnect? That's because that's interesting stuff to look at as well. But beyond that, beyond just the obvious definitions or, for a system for role-playing games, it's really kind of fascinating to observe the effect of our culture of play, our local culture of play, upon the system and the experience of an RPG. Ron Edwards mentioned more than once, there's the rules written in the game, and then there's the real rules of your table. And this doesn't have to mean like wholesale changes and house rules. Game groups are, to go back to the definitions, they're full of organized and established procedures, aren't they? And very often they qualify as regularly interacting or interdependent system or group of items forming a unified whole. So very often there's a bigger system going on at our table than the one contained in a specific game. There's our system established by each group, and it could just be like how we get together, how we talk about the game, the whole nine yards, how the system of how we play, if you will, our culture of play. And maybe these are the best systems of all. as these bigger, larger ones. It becomes like a regularly interacting group of friends, forming a unified whole with organized and established procedures, which create a harmonious arrangement and pattern. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So system is a lot bigger than just looking at what kind of dice you're rolling. It's a much, much bigger animal. And that's fascinating and pretty cool. All right, we've got 2 more days left. I'll talk to you tomorrow.